On June 28, 2014, in Vancouver, Canada, Su Bin emerges from his home clutching his steaming morning coffee, only to find two unmarked Crown Victorias sealing off his driveway. 8 Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers swiftly encircle him. The mug crashes against the pavement, spilling everywhere. Su Bin, a 49-year-old vendor of aviation components who oversees 3 staff members, offers no opposition. Deep down, he understands the reason for their arrival. Over the past 6 years, he has pilfered some of the United States' most guarded military tech secrets, not through break-ins or weaponry, but via cyber experts, digital correspondence, and simple spreadsheets. Upon searching his computer, the authorities uncover 630,000 pilfered Boeing documents. Blueprints for the F-35 Lightning II stealth jet. Detection profiles for the F-22 Raptor. Testing procedures for aircraft that represent $31 billion in R&D investment. Su Bin's theft goes beyond mere papers. He's commandeered the edge in aerial dominance, and much of it has already reached Beijing. Yet the police remain unaware of a key detail. Detaining Su Bin is about to ignite a global hostage situation. Moreover, the pilfered innovations are now soaring above the South China Sea. So, how exactly did he orchestrate this? And what made Beijing select him? Flashback to the 2008 Beijing Aerospace Conference. Su Bin navigates the crowd with the finesse of a campaigner, committing to memory attendees' names, affiliations, and security clearances. His card lists low-tech industries, a modest outfit producing wiring assemblies for civilian planes, pulling in $180,000 yearly. In truth, his covert role commands far higher compensation. Earlier that day, Su Bin got fresh directives from a pair of People's Liberation Army cyber operatives, known by the handles UC2 and UC3. Their hit list spans 17 U.S. defense firms. The snag? They lack intel on which insiders can reach secure networks, intel that Su Bin possesses. For 3 years running, Su Bin has charted the U.S. defense sector from within. During the Paris Air Show, he strikes up a connection with Boeing's Michael Chen, an engineer who lets slip details about a secretive project in Long Beach. At a vendor gathering in Seattle, he encounters Jennifer Park from Lockheed's Elite Skunk Works unit. Her gripes about updated safeguards hand him the precise vulnerabilities to sidestep. Su Bin logs it all in secure dossiers, tagged as __0__. Come December 2008, he has pinpointed 147 workers at 31 firms who might tap into defense projects. 12 stand out as top prospects. Those facing money woes, resentful over missed advancements, or lax about credentials. China craves this data urgently. Its J-10 jet falls short against the F-16. Its cargo aircraft haul only half the load of U.S. counterparts. U.S. military experts peg China's aviation prowess as 2 decades lagging. Su Bin aims to shrink that gap from years to mere months. He zeroes in first on Boeing's C-17 Globemaster III assembly plant in Long Beach, California. Each C-17 runs $22 million and can transport 170,000 pounds of supplies to any global hotspot. For 11 years, China has chased a comparable design, botching its 17 attempts. On January 9, 2009, Su Bin forwards UC-2, a phishing lure masked as a Boeing retirement notice. It aims at Dennis Liu, a fatigue specialist Su Bin crossed paths with at a Vancouver expo, where Liu vented about his pension woes. Liu opens the attachment at 2:31 p.m. Pacific Time. Within a minute, PLA hackers breach Boeing's systems. Over the next 18 months, they prowl the infrastructure, planting 47 backdoors, forging admin privileges, and capturing every bit of data flow possible. They operate solely from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Pacific, aligning with Beijing's workday, when Boeing's defenses run on minimal crew. Weekly, the intruders relay folder inventories to Su Bin. One batch lists 6,000 file entries across pages. Su Bin flags 22 directories in yellow, those hiding sensitive info. One such directory holds more than 2,000 documents on the C-17's payload mechanism, a feat China has yet to master. Every lifted file supposedly spares China 2 years of trial and error. Certain documents are so crucial that Boeing stays oblivious to the breach until the FBI presents evidence 5 years on. If this dive into one of the grandest espionage scandals in history has you hooked, and you're curious about the conspiracy's full extent, smash that subscribe button. The next haul from Su Bin will reshape global military might. By March 2010, Su Bin's crew pulls 630,000 files, 65 gigabytes worth, from Boeing. The trove covers endurance trials, component specs, production margins, and all essentials for cloning the C-17. Su Bin himself renders 3,400 pages from English into Mandarin, inserting notes such as vital for heat control or resolves our fluid dynamics issue. In an update to Beijing, he declares, "We have successfully and without incident completed the C-17 acquisition, providing key boosts to our country's defense R&D. Still, the C-17 was never Su Bin's endgame. It served as a trial, a dry run for an operation on a far grander scale." By April 15, 2010, new directives arrive from Beijing for Su Bin. His focus shifts to Lockheed Martin's prized asset, the F-35 Lightning II. Yet stealing an entire $1.7 trillion fighter jet initiative, how exactly does one pull that off? And what drives China to court potential conflict just to obtain it? Fast forward to October 11, 2011, in Su Bin's home office in Richmond, British Columbia. While sifting through the most recent cyber intrusions, he uncovers a remarkable item amid the pilfered documents: a file. This one file holds the electromagnetic profile of the United States' latest stealth warplane. It details the precise radar wavelengths the F-35 dodges. Armed with such intelligence, China could craft detection systems calibrated to spot even the most elusive planes. Su Bin flags it as top priority and jots a quick annotation. This alters the entire game. The F-35 effort draws in 1,700 vendors, spread over 45 states. While Lockheed Martin oversees the core databases, countless subcontractors guard fragments of the overall design. BAE Systems handles the electronic countermeasures array. Northrop Grumman constructs the radar system. Pratt & Whitney produces the power plant. Every firm believes its contribution is minor enough to overlook. Su Bin sees the fuller picture. He drafts a comprehensive chart outlining which firms possess which innovations. The first column names 67 organizations. The second pinpoints their most vulnerable digital defenses. The third pulls in personnel details from his ongoing recruitment logs. What emerges is Su Bin's master plan for the biggest pilfering of defense tech ever pulled off. His team breaches the initial subcontractor on November 3, 2011, a modest outfit in Connecticut, fabricating titanium parts for the F-35's lift fan. With just 43 staff and a half-time IT overseer, their defenses are laughable. A firewall untouched since 2009. UC2 and UC3 slip in undetected after only 4 minutes. They deploy a keystroke tracker to snag the admin's login. Password 123. That simple code grants access to the joint repository shared with Lockheed Martin, brimming with 340 gigabytes of F-35 schematics. In the following 18 months, Subin's crew targets 21 more F-35 vendors, following the identical playbook. Underprotected outfits with lax safeguards and interconnected systems to the main builders. Every incursion unlocks fresh access points. A Fort Worth vendor yields the F-35's sensor integration routines, software enabling pilots to view right through the fuselage. From a Baltimore operation comes the specs for the helmet display, which beams critical info onto the flyer's face shield. El Segundo supplies the stealth radar-absorbing compound recipe, born from 11 years and $2.3 billion of effort. Subin sorts the haul with meticulous care. He sets up directories by plane components, each packed with scores of documents, bearing his personal glosses and engineering annotations in his own hand. The Wall Street Journal would eventually reveal that Chinese intruders snatched multiple terabytes of F-35 intel. But Subin's private logs show the true scope: 24.3 terabytes spanning 3.7 million documents. On December 19, 2012, images arrived from Beijing. China's J-20 stealth prototype sports a revamped nose section that replicates the F-35's radar profile to a T. Its cockpit features the identical golden tint layer pulled from the swiped Lockheed specs. The air inlet shape, a headache for China over 7 years, now echoes the F-35's design flawlessly. Still, acquiring the info marks just part of the scheme. Subin also needs to cloak their trail. His intruders channel assaults via servers in 17 nations, hijacked machines in places like South Korea, Poland, India, and Brazil. They rent cloud space through shell firms set up in Cyprus. Data gets shuttled in 50-megabyte packets, tiny bursts that slip past routine monitors. When Boeing's cybersecurity crew flags odd traffic in February 2013, their probe leads to a Romanian server scrubbed bare 6 hours prior. By March 2014, Subin has looted defense intel valued at around $600 billion in R&D costs. The F-35's invisibility features, the F-22's engine nozzle tech, and the C-17's load handling programs. Decades of U.S. innovation, now archived in Beijing's vaults. For his efforts, Subin pockets $4.7 million, about 1.5 per file snatched. He snaps up 3 Vancouver homes, pilots a 2013 Mercedes S-Class, and stashes $8.3 million in Hong Kong accounts. His LinkedIn bio pegs him as head of Load Tech Industries. Truth be told, he's the mastermind behind history's boldest armed forces data grab. Meanwhile, 7,500 miles distant in a dim FBI basement at headquarters, Special Agent Justin pores over a captured message headlined, quote, 4. How did the interceptors snag these signals, and what path led them to a Canadian wire assembly shop? It all traces back to August 8, 2012. Special Agent Justin from the FBI's Los Angeles field office unpacks a confidential eyes-only envelope delivered by the National Security Agency. The contents include hard copies of correspondence exchanged among 3 people, covering details on Project C-17 and Big Bird, Boeing's secret designation for the Globemaster transport aircraft. Through PRISM surveillance targeting Chinese military networks, the NSA had captured these exchanges. Among them is an email with an attached document, a comprehensive 16-page analysis outlining the precise methods hackers employed to breach Boeing's Long Beach site. It enumerates the pilfered documents by title, features captures of Boeing's proprietary file structures, and boasts about acquiring 630,000 documents to benefit the homeland. Velaz pauses over a single phrase, reading it repeatedly. Project manager Stephen Su supplied the list of objectives and handled translations. At last, a concrete identity emerges: Stephen Su or Su Bin. Tracking down Su Bin requires 4 months of effort. The perpetrators cycle through 13 distinct email accounts on 6 separate platforms. To evade detection, they exchange information via unsent drafts in shared folders, sidestepping conventional monitoring tools. Yet a single oversight unravels them. On January 14, 2013, an access attempt occurs on the spanka@gmail.com account. Via IP 67.193.4, 4.222. Linked to TELUS Communications in Richmond, British Columbia. This leads directly to the residence at 8571 Bocock Road, registered under Su Bin's name. The FBI verifies Su Bin against aviation sector records. He participated in the 2009 Paris Air Show, the 2010 Boeing Suppliers Conference, and the 2011 Defense Manufacturing Summit. Remarkably, each appearance aligns with fresh cyber attacks on participating firms. Velaz constructs a chronological overview. In March 2009, Su Bin connects with a Boeing specialist during a Vancouver expo. By April 2009, that specialist's login details grant entry to restricted systems. Come October 2010, Su Bin appears at a Lockheed vendor gathering in Dallas. In November 2010, a Dallas area vendor suffers a compromise exploiting the event's participant roster. This sequence occurs 17 times in total. Su Bin goes beyond mere target spotting. He delivers in-depth reconnaissance on every mark: staff identities, messaging conventions, protective measures, and even downtime patterns gleaned from offhand chats. A message from UC2 expresses gratitude to Su Bin for highlighting the reduced IT staffing over Thanksgiving. The probe widens to encompass 3 federal entities. The Air Force Office of Special Investigations assesses the strategic fallout. China's Y-20 cargo aircraft, unveiled in 2013, integrates 17 precise features, lifted from the C-17 blueprints. The Naval Criminal Investigative Service uncovers that the Chinese J-31 stealth jet mock-up employs the identical radar-absorbing compound swiped from Lockheed. The Defense Intelligence Agency projects that these appropriations propelled China's aerial forces forward by a decade to 15 years, sparing Beijing around $100 billion in development expenses. However, bringing charges against Su Bin poses distinct hurdles. As a Canadian resident in Vancouver, he falls outside easy U.S. jurisdiction. Beijing refuses to admit any involvement. His collaborators, UC2 and UC3, hold ranks in the People's Liberation Army, shielded by diplomatic protections. Standard extradition processes might drag on for years. The Justice Department seeks alternative pressure points. On May 19, 2014, Attorney General Eric Holder publicly reveals indictments against 5 hackers from the Chinese military for economic spying. The inaugural such accusations leveled at overseas armed forces personnel. The action signals to Beijing that Washington will no longer overlook digital plunder. Working discreetly, prosecutor Adam Hickey drafts a confidential indictment targeting Su Bin. Devoid of official protections like his associates, and with frequent travels plus real estate in California, Su Bin remains exposed. On June 27, 2014, Su Bin reserves a Vancouver to China flight set for June 29. The FBI faces a tight 48-hour window. Velaz contacts the Royal Canadian Mounted Police at 4:00 p.m. Within 2 hours, by 6 p.m., Canadian authorities secure an arrest order. By 10 p.m., monitoring units verify Su Bin's presence at 8571 Bocock Road. The takedown is scheduled for first light. Coordinating 31 personnel from various outfits, including RCMP SWAT units, FBI representatives, and Canadian Security Intelligence Service monitors. The operation anticipates potential evidence tampering, a common tactic among spies. Dedicated pairs of agents focus exclusively on confiscating digital devices, aiming to block any remote erasure commands. At 5:43 a.m. on June 28th, operatives established perimeters around the house. Moments later, at 5:47 a.m., Su Bin steps outside, clutching a mug of coffee and his Samsung Galaxy smartphone. An agent swiftly isolates him from the gadget. Fortunately so, as the screen displays an open secure chat application, his finger poised above an emergency clean option. In Su Bin's study, searchers uncover 3 computers, 8 portable hard drives, and 47 flash drives concealed within a bogus power socket. The main computer holds 892 gigabytes of expropriated defense secrets, sorted into directories bearing Chinese inscriptions. A single directory on F-35 stealth characteristics includes data graded higher than top secret. Releasing those documents to the public would endanger the viability of the whole F-35 program. Su Bin keeps duplicates of all the material on storage devices hidden in locations spanning 3 continents. Despite his arrest and the looming threat of extradition, he still believes Beijing will pull strings to free him. Soon enough, he'll discover that China handles its operatives in a far more ruthless way. Just 5 days following Su Bin's detention, a pair of Canadians residing in China disappear into custody. Their only offense? Being Canadian during an inopportune moment. Who exactly were Kevin and Julia Garrett, and what made China target them? It was July 4, 2014, in Dandong, China, close to the North Korean frontier. After wrapping up a meal at the Shangri-La Hotel, Kevin and Julia Garrett were chatting about arrangements for their son's upcoming wedding. For 3 decades, the couple had managed Peter's Coffee House, where they taught English classes and aided North Korean escapees. Suddenly, 8 agents from state security encircled their table, offering no reasons or accusations. The Garretts were promptly split up, blindfolded, and transported to separate detention centers. Kevin endured 23 months without seeing the son again. Julia faced nonstop questioning for 200 straight days. This raid happened precisely 6 days after Su Bin's apprehension, a calculated move that Western spy agencies quickly pegged as payback. China's intent was crystal clear: harm our people, and we'll seize yours in return. While the Foreign Ministry insists there's no link between the incidents, outlets in the Chinese state press paint another picture. On July 8th, the Global Times ran an op-ed called, quote, 7 declaring, quote, 8. The piece garnered 3.7 million views and drew 400,000 favorable responses on Weibo. A single remark racked up 50,000 likes. Quote, 9 out of sight. Chinese envoys conveyed a blunt stance to their Canadian counterparts. Vice Foreign Minister Liu Jianming informed Canada's ambassador that various tensions in relations might ease if Canada displayed leniency regarding Su Bin's situation. The subtext: let Su Bin go, or the Garretts remain locked away. Canada confronted a dilemma with no easy out: uphold the extradition pact with the U.S. and risk 2 blameless lives, or yield to this coerced exchange and undermine their global standing. Prime Minister Stephen Harper opted for a workaround: delay. Over the next 18 months, Su Bin's legal battle dragged through Canadian tribunals. His legal team submitted 17 separate challenges to block the handover. In the interim, Kevin Garrett shed 40 pounds while confined. He was held in a room with perpetual lighting, enduring routine grillings over alleged theft of state secrets. What secrets? Authorities accused the Garretts of snapping pictures of military sites, based on innocuous vacation snaps where structures appeared incidentally. Julia's stress triggered high blood pressure, for which guards sporadically denied her prescribed drugs. Their son lodged 200 petitions for their release, each dismissed without cause. From his low-security holding in Vancouver, Su Bin observed the drama play out. He got shipments of Chinese publications, coded messages from Beijing, and even drop-ins from consulate staff promising a swift return home. Yet by December 2015, the tide turned. Canadian judges dismissed his last recourse. The U.S. dangled a bargain: confess, accept 46 months behind bars, and skip a full hearing. Refuse and lose, up to 60 years awaited. Su Bin's contacts in Beijing fell quiet. No further meetings, no correspondence. The implication hit hard: he was cut loose. On February 23, 2016, Su Bin delivered a bombshell to Beijing by foregoing further appeals and consenting to U.S. jurisdiction. In under 3 days, he boarded a flight to Los Angeles. Come March 23, before Judge Christina Snyder, Su Bin entered a guilty plea for conspiring to infiltrate U.S. defense firms. He owned up to selecting objectives, guiding the hackers, and converting pilfered files. His admissions handed the FBI a full blueprint of China's cyber espionage in military intel. Operatives, tactics, aims, all the elements Beijing fought to keep buried. The deal laid bare jaw-dropping revelations. Su Bin verified pilfering from 37 firms. He named 14 key technologies funneled to China's aircraft sector. He disclosed pocketing $4.7 million across 6 years, routed via dummy firms in Hong Kong and Macau. Worst of all, he verified that the pilfered intel shaped China's J-20, J-31, and Y-20 initiatives. No longer just suspicions, these were admissions straight from one of China's insiders. Experts in intelligence will dissect Su Bin's statements for years, applying the insights to seal gaps and hunt down other spies. Judge Snyder handed down 46 months in federal lockup, a sentence under 4 years, for siphoning secrets worth $600 billion. The lenient punishment underscores Su Bin's collaboration and the U.S. intent to signal that turning states' evidence offers safeguards. Even adversaries honor a skilled operative. Su Bin spends his incarceration at the low-security Terminal Island Federal Correctional Institution, a spot typically reserved for nonviolent offenders like financial wrongdoers. There, he instructs fellow prisoners in Mandarin, tends to a small plot of vegetables, and pens a 400-page autobiography that the CIA swiftly deems classified upon finishing. On September 15, 2016, just 2 weeks into Su Bin's prison term, authorities in China free Kevin and Julia Garrett. Kevin endured 775 days in captivity. Julia, 186. The couple faces deportation to Canada without any rationale provided. Their beloved coffee shop is confiscated, and their entire livelihood lies in tatters. The unpublicized exchange of prisoners wraps up quietly. Su Bin's disloyalty deprives Beijing of 2 full years of bargaining power over detainees, yielding 0 benefits. Back in Canada, the Garretts arrive shattered yet surviving. They'll require extensive counseling over the coming years to heal from the trauma of being unwitting pieces in a high-stakes international contest. The Su Bin incident reshapes the landscape of digital spying forever. During September 2015, President Obama confronts President Xi Jinping with damning proof from Su Bin's dossier: hacked documents bearing unmistakable marks from Chinese armed forces, validated by one of their own operatives. Denial proves impossible for her side. The presidents then unveil a groundbreaking pact, an end to cyber pilfering aimed at economic gains. Cybersecurity companies note a sharp 90% decline in Chinese cyber incursions in the following year. This truce endures precisely 18 months before it starts fraying at the edges. Come 2017, fresh Chinese hacking outfits surface under new banners, yet their tactics echo the old ones. March 3, 2020. Su Bin finishes his term and catches China Eastern Airlines Flight 582 bound for Beijing. His homecoming draws no press attention, no triumphant reception. Chinese spy masters view him as tainted, a turned informant. He fades into obscurity in a Shanghai suburb, his $8.3 million in assets still locked away, his standing utterly demolished. Still, the innovations he pilfered endure and thrive. China's J-20 stealth fighter rolls into full-scale manufacturing in 2021. The Y-20 transport solidifies as a pillar of their aerial supply chain. The electronic data Su Bin leaked aids in crafting anti-stealth tech that, according to reports, spots F-35s from 350 kilometers out. In retaliation, the U.S. ramps up work on next-gen sixth-generation jets, stations counter-espionage units across all defense firms, and rolls out zero-trust systems, presuming every insider could be a risk, but the harm runs deep and irreversible. Beijing fast-tracked 2 decades of aircraft progress into a mere 5 years. They didn't just acquire blueprints, they grasped the American mindset behind them. Each blueprint Su Bin snatched encapsulated generations of testing, dead ends, and priceless insights. Such secrets can't be erased once exposed. In the present day, Su Bin's prosecution stands as the sole conviction of a Chinese military agent for swiping fighter plane intel. The identities of UC-2 and UC-3 remain elusive. Countless parallel schemes probably persist in the shadows. The FBI pegs the yearly toll of Chinese digital theft on the U.S. at $300 billion. The Defense Department dedicates 300 dedicated personnel solely to probing aviation hacks. Leading arms manufacturers now hire ex-NSA experts to track down digital trespassers. The covert conflict that Su Bin exemplified rages on, only more sophisticated. To grasp how today's spying endangers world stability, check out our earlier report on Edward Snowden, the whistleblower who bested the NSA. After all, Su Bin wasn't the pioneer, and he certainly wasn't the last.